Okay, here we go. So our next project is the Logic Pro sampler composition. And this starts kind of 2-week cycle we're going to do of working with audio and samples and working more as composers. And in this one, you actually get to improvise a little bit too. So working more with source material, not so much with notation. So you get to use your creativity differently. In this one, we're going to start with having you do a arrangement in Finale again, but you're going to use Hyperscribe, which is a way of playing in the notes in real time into Finale. So you won't be doing the note entry like you've done. So it's kind of cool. It's a different way of doing it. So you'll make a simpler arrangement than you did for the last one, right? The last one was a little more complex. Simple arrangement. And then we're going to take that into Logic Pro in the same way as a MIDI file. And then we're going to make a sampler. So I've provided you actually with some samples. That's what the guitar fuzz harmonics. Those are samples of harmonics actually on a baritone guitar on the 7th and 12th fret. And I'm going to show you how to chop those up and add effects and load them into a sampler, which gives you a basic idea if you ever wanted to go do your own sampler project, if you wanted to just even record sounds on your phone and map them onto a keyboard. This is the basic process of how you would do it. So you'll map it into a sampler and then basically improvise over the arrangement that you imported. So it's kind of cool multi-process thing. So the final requirements, you'll make a PDF of your Finale arrangement. So I can check out kind of what you did originally as far as your score. You'll also have a WAV file of your Finale arrangement. So very similar to the last assignment. And then an MP3 of your finished composition improvised in Logic Pro. So for the Finale arrangement, this one will have 5 tracks that you'll enter with Hyperscribe. So you need to be thinking about one melody instrument, a sound effect, and I'll show you how to do that. A chordal instrument can be anything that plays chords. It should be something with 2 stabs, however, bass and treble. So something with a grand staff, and I'll show you why. It's because with Hyperscribe, I want to show you how to enter in 2 staff mode. So that's more just like a practical application. A bass instrument and a mapped percussion part. Your final version, when you do the audio of your Finale arrangement, you'll want to adjust the volume so that it still sounds cool, sounds like a composition in its own right, or I guess an arrangement, we could say. And then in the Logic Pro, when you take that and import it into Logic Pro, you'll add in the sample of the guitar harmonics, and then I'll show you how to record an improvisation on top of your arrangement. So here we go. In Finale, show you the basic setup. We're going to add an instrument very similar to, that's not Finale. Let's do Setup Wizard. Similar to how we've done before, but this time we're going to start with just one instrument. Start with just the melody instrument. So I'm going to do, let's do like soprano sax. Here we go, soprano saxophone. And I'm going to call this Horses Arrangement, Marae 2022. And key signature and time signature. So you can see this is Hushabye, a traditional American folk song, 4/4. Can change it to E minor. We'll kind of make an official key out of it this time, E minor. And let's set the tempo. My recommendation is 90. 60 is kind of too slow and 120 is a little too fast. 90 will give you a good medium tempo to actually, because you're going to enter in real time through this Hyperscribe thing. So let's click finish. I'm going to save as Horses Arrangement. I'm going to call this 1.0 because I already made one today and I don't want it to get confused. 1.0. There we go. I'm also going to change, since this is a transposing instrument, I'm going to do display and concert pitch, document display and concert pitch, so I don't confuse myself, because I'm going to be reading off of this lead sheet basically to enter. So Hyperscribe is this icon that looks like a piano with a little pencil. And I'm going to click on that. And there's a couple of settings that we're going to set up in the menu under Hyperscribe. We're going to make sure that the record mode is record into one staff. Since we just have a single melody instrument, I'm going to just do one staff. And then we're going to set what's called the quantization settings, or quant for short, because quantization is kind of a hard thing to say. So Hyperscribe options and quant settings. This is a really important setting to do, because if you don't set anything, you can see the sensitivity of your playing. You can go all the way up to 30-second notes, which would be the most unintelligible score, right? It'll pick up every little imperfection of our playing. So I'm going to set this at 16th note. So it's not going to go any smaller rhythmically than 16th. That gives me enough to, like, if I want to improvise a little bit, it'll still pick it up. So set that to 16th note for the melody. And I'm going to click OK. The way Hyperscribe works is once I click in the first measure, it's going to give me 2 full measures for nothing. And then I can start playing and it'll record whatever I play. So you could, if you want to, if this stresses you out a little bit, you can just click in and out with Speedy and play through MIDI. Oof. Okay, we're not going to play that game right now. Hold on. Reassign playback sounds. Do it. Okay, do you all see how my Garriton player is not here? See how it says Smart Synth? And even though I have it play through MIDI, it's not there. Well, it was doing this to me earlier in the class. So I might have to edit this video out because, or I can cheat and go to my old arrangement and erase everything because I don't know why. Okay, MIDI, there, assign my sounds. Okay. I'm going to just, we're going to do it like this. I'm going to select all these stabs and delete them. We'll pretend like this is the point we're at in the project. I'm going to select all on this and go, oops, not that. There we go. Okay. So what I was saying, if you want to test, you can also adjust the octave over here, right? You've all played with this octave thing before. You kind of see, okay, so this is the melody. Okay, so that's all the pretty little horses. And when I go in, I think I have to put my tempo marking back because it ate it. I'm also going to check here in the settings. It says 90 and I'm going to click leftmost measure. So it starts there. Okay. So when I click in, it's going to give me 2 measures for nothing. And then I can simply play in the time. Let me make sure this is set how I had it before. Yes. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, ready, go. Goodbye. That didn't work. Something's wrong with, for some reason it was doing this to me earlier where it wasn't loading the, let's try again. It wasn't loading the Garriton player. Okay, we're just going to call this horses and go fast. I want this to be 90, finish. Okay. Did it load it? Okay, it did it. Everyone see Garriton instruments for Finale? Yay. Something is glitchy. I don't know what it is. Ooh. Play through MIDI. Seems to be responding slow. I don't know if it's maybe because I'm on Zoom or something, but okay, let's try again. That seems the right tempo. Okay, ready, go. I think it's because I'm on Zoom. There's a delay. That looks perfectly awful, but it won't look as bad. So you click again in the score and it'll stop. Ooh, did I start early? Okay, well you can I do it again? That did not work, yeah? Woo! I'm pretty sure it's in Zoom because the sound's going through Zoom and out. And so it's processing, it's taking too long. Let me try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, ready, go. The click is. Okay. Woo. I'm going to leave it because you get the idea. It's not going to do that funky thing where it's delayed when you do it. All right. So we just played in the melody. It doesn't have to be exact, actually. And for the purpose of it, this might actually not sound as bad as it looks. I'm going to display in concert. All right, if you want to change the range at all, remember there's these shortcuts, like let's say I'm going to go, boo, da, da. It's my second statement of the melody. You can do, you can select that material and push 8 or 9. Remember that is the shortcut if you want to just work with octaves quickly, so you don't have to actually play it in again. Great, so to add another staff, we're going to click on the staff tool. And make sure you're in, it's called scroll view. Remember Control E takes you in and out of scroll versus score. To add these staves, you have to be in scroll view. So I'm going to double click there. Then we're going to go up to Windows Score Manager and click on the blank staff. Oh, I see. Do you see how it kicked out my thing again? My Garriton. Okay. So I'm going to click on blank staff and add instrument. I'm going to do jazz, pitch percussion, or not percussion, pitch plucked strings. And let's do, because I'm looking for a bass instrument. Let's do fretless bass. And I guess I'm going to just go through audio units. Oh, yes. Okay, you going to do it? Maybe it'll work better now. We'll see. All right, then same process. For the bass part in this Hyperscribe, I'm going to take the quantization down a little bit larger, up a little bit larger value. So quant settings, I'm going to do an 8th note here, so that it doesn't pick up my imperfections as much. Because maybe play more like a walking bass line as you do this. All right, let's see if this works a little better. May or may not, no promises. I'm going to see what happens if I get rid of this. That saxophone part is just all goofed. Don't pick soprano saxophone if your instrument. Okay, I'm gonna pretend like that I already entered it. I'm gonna see if it works a little better now without the soprano sax, because now I feel like it's responding correctly now. Let me try again. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, go. This is how it should look and feel. Okay, that's a decent bass part. Don't worry if it's, if you want to change it, the octave, you can select it, push 8. That looks a little better as a bass part. I think it's because I had the octave button pushed. I can always change the octave later. Should we see if this soprano saxophone is going to cooperate now? Okay, so that worked. Yay. I don't know what was wrong the first time, but whew, okay. So you can just play the melody straight away if you want. You can riff on it. You can add embellishments. It's just in E minor. So some kind of version of that. Let's add any questions so far with that? You can see I'm kind of repeating the same process for each one. So there's already an extra staff added here. So I'm going to go up to Window, and my score manager is actually already open down here. Let's add the keyboard instrument. So let's see, let's stick with jazz keyboard. And I'm going to add a clavinet. Do you all know the clavinet? It's the song Stevie Wonder plays on Superstitious. Very interesting sounding. If I click in and out with Speedy. Very 1970s sound. Yeah, kind of. Yes. So to add the Hyperscribe with a keyboard, we're going to go up to Hyperscribe record mode, split into 2 staves. So it'll put everything now, we set a split point, everything below, so 60 is the number that coordinates to middle C. So actually MIDI controlled notes, like our note system in different octaves has a whole correlation to these MIDI numbers, and 60 is middle C, 61 is C sharp, 62 is D, and so forth. It's mapped with numbers. So it's kind of good to know that. So, or you can play, like if I play this note. Good. Okay, so what is C3 for me is going to be the split point here on the piano. It depends by what octave you have over here. So you can check that in this spot if you want. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And everything below my C3 is going to go in the bass clef. Everything above is going to go in the treble. So let's do the same thing. And here's where you can kind of play around. You can do something like that. More than one note at once. Yay, that's what keyboards are for. All right, I want you to add a sound effect. So this one's kind of fun and shows you some of the possibilities too for MIDI in all different applications. Same process, we'll go to Staff Tool. We're going to double click below in scroll view. We're going to go over to the Score Manager, and here under sound, so there's a column for sound, we're going to go to sound effects. And I'm going to do bird tweet. An important step is I want you to label, because this will just say blank, because sound effects aren't instruments, so they don't get an official name in the Score Manager. Boo-hoo. They could have just programmed bird, but they didn't. So we're going to give this the name bird. So when I go to look at your score and hear your finale version of the arrangement, I'll know, okay, there's a line for the bird, I'm hearing the bird, so forth. So be sure to label your staff. So then it'll say bird. You can also rearrange these. I'm going to drag the bird up by the soprano sax just to make the score order make a little more sense. I'm also going to drag, you just drag this little handle on the left. I'm going to drag the clavinet above the bass. Okay, so then this is an important one. Depending on what sound you pick, it might be mapped differently on the keyboard. So I'm going to click in and out of that staff with Speedy, and then just get an idea which, like G2 and A2 sound pretty cool. Okay, E1's got a real short bird. You can also do the octave key changes too. Okay, so we'll just enter. This is the part you get to like play with and experiment. There's like all kinds of crazy stuff in there. But let's enter a few bird sounds. And keep in mind, this is something that will be data. You're basically putting sound data that can be adapted later in Logic. So it's not going to sound like a bird. I mean, I guess there might be some bird things in Logic, but it's going to be something adapted differently for creating ambiance. So you don't have to be too particular. Go. Oh, fatal flaw. Do y'all see what I did? I forgot to change single staff. I was putting it down in my clavinet. Undo. So make sure you go Hyperscribes, oops, options, record mode, one staff. Very important. Okay, but you get the idea with that. Yeah, that's the bird. I'll just enter a little. Let me just, so I've got that something in that spot. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's that's only saying, oh yeah, that tweet is mapped on that note on the keyboard. That's all it means. And that's fine if it looks that way. The sound effect one won't look that intelligible. All right, so that's the minimum for, oh, and we have, sorry, no, we have one more. I want you to add a mapped percussion part that will adapt to a percussion patch in Logic. So we'll add one more staff tool, double click. And here we're going to go to Score Manager again. And blank staff. I'm going to do this jazz percussion. And you see how it plugged in basic orchestral percussion? I want you to plug in a kit. So the Fusion drum kit I find is the most intuitive. You can play around with electronic or brush. Fusion will give you enough different instruments because we're going to actually plug in a drum groove that's preset. So you don't have to like actually enter all the parts or anything. So we're going to select this whole staff. of percussion and go up to plugins, scoring and arranging, drum groove. And there's a whole bunch of grooves. I'm going to just do Afro-Cuban. And I'm going to place it into an existing staff. I'm going to place it into this percussion staff. And click OK. And it generates its own groove. And that's a very quiet groove. Let's check out why. You working? Are you doing anything? Okay. Problem solve quickly. Oh, it did not do it. Do you see how it didn't put my Fusion kit? Why did you not do a Fusion kit? Let's check out. This is channel 10. And I go to player, edit player. For some reason, it's wanting me to put it way over in channel 10. So I'm going to go to jazz. Let's see what if ethnic percussion. Okay, let's go with that. Oh, it still did not do it. You still want to do it? No, it's doing it now. That wasn't exactly what I wanted, but that's what we're going to get for the purpose of this tutorial video. Okay, so obviously you want to spend some time crafting your groove. Actually, it's not bad.
Of course, Malachi likes it.
Okay, all right, so kind of, yeah, get what you want going on this. I'm obviously having some technical difficulties, so creatively limited in the amount of time. So we're going to, and I forgot to save, tisk tisk horses arrangement Murray 2.0 2022. This is our second round. So now we're going to export this as a MIDI file. Well, you'll do your WAV file in your PDF first, right? So I can see what you did here. Then for the Logic Pro part, it's same thing under export, MIDI file. You'll remember how to do that with, because you did it with the SETI project. And format 1 is good. And we're going to click OK. Is that me? Yeah, I guess it was. All right, so let's go over to Logic Pro and I'll show you this, what we're going to do with this sampler thing. So this combines kind of what we did last time, but now also with a sampler. So we're going to start new project. And you can click software instrument for this one. And I'm just going to tighten some of this up so we can see a little better. All right, so first thing we're going to do is go and get those samples in Logic Pro and put them into Logic Pro. And I'm going to show you how to add effects and how to chop them up and how to, basically we're going to quantize them as well, right? That's how MIDI works, is that you kind of figure out how you're going to map it into a grid, whether by beats or by measures, and then you can manipulate them. So to get the samples, all you have to do is download them. Here they are, guitar, fuzz, harmonics, and just drag them into the track. Yeah, we can do tempo, that's fine. These little scalars on the upper right, I kind of like to be able to see the waves a little better, so can do that and kind of adjust this how you want to be able to see it. I've got a squish for space because I'm got all these other things open. All right, so here's our guitar fuzz, and they sound like that. Isn't that amazing? Okay. I'm going to get rid of this track too. Okay. So there's a couple of tools up here. Do you see how all these little buttons up here above my track? There's this snap and drag, and there's this pointer tool, which has all these different things we can do with the sound. You may or may not see these. And so there's some directions here about how to get them to those little boxes to show up. So you got to, if you don't see those, you want to go up here to Logic Pro Preferences and go to Advanced, and make sure under Advanced that this Enable Complete Features is checked. So you just, if you don't see it, that's how you want to make sure that that box is checked. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to cut these samples up so we can play with them and add effects individually for each of them. So we're going to go, there's this pointer tool that has a scissors on it. We're going to take the scissors, and to cut all of these equally, hold down the Option key and go to right before the sample and click. So Option click will slice, 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 because you don't want to go and have to slice and it might be imprecise and all this stuff. The Option basically does an automatic cut right on the grid, which is nice. Then we're going to add some space and fades. So, because right now they're kind of crude. They're right, just like, right? We can't really do much with them right now. So we're going to drop the tempo to 60 up in the tempo and click OK. Yes, go to 60. Do it. There we go. If it does that, just make sure this, when this thing's open, just there was like an extra little marker in there. You can just delete it and then it'll do it for all. So dropping the tempo to 60 gives a little more space to each one, because these were recorded at basically 3 measures each, and 60 makes it so they'll be last less time. So we're going to add a little fade in, fade out, which is up here in the settings. You click more. So this is the track settings. You can see there's basically a mixer and places for effects and kind of general settings. We're going to go to fade in. And actually, let's do the fade out first. So double click where it says fade out. And we're going to add a much longer fade out, 500 milliseconds, which is about a half a second. 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. And we're going to do a little mini fade in of just 2. Great. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, I'm going to delete this last little chunk here and select this last sample. Maybe make this a little bigger, you can see it a little better. I'm going to do Command C and then drop the playhead and do Command V. I'm going to copy paste so that when we're going to bounce this to another track, that it doesn't automatically trim that last one. We're just basically giving it a little more space after the last one. Because I'm going to tell it to go by every 3 bars, and then I don't want it to do less than 3 bars on the last one, so that that sample is not affected. So just follow those directions, duplicate the last one and drag it over. Then we're going to do what's called bounce in place. We're actually going to bounce this to another track in the same file. That's what bounce in place means. So we're going to go here. I'm going to do Command A, which selects everything, select all. And I'm going to do Control B, which is bounce in place. Or you can go up into File, Bounce, Track in Place. Same thing, Control B. New track. Mute is fine. Make sure this bypass effect plugin is not checked. So we want that same sound that he's got on the samples. And we're gonna click OK. And voila, it bounced it to a new track. I'm gonna mute these ones that we started with so they don't get in our way. I also would love to close that. Okay, good. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop these up again, and we're gonna load them into the sampler. So basically we just added some space. That's all we did. We added some space, we added a little fade, and then we bounced them all to a new track. Okay, scissors tool. I'm gonna click Option and cut again. So it cuts equally. And now I'm gonna go back to the pointer and I'm gonna select everything in this track. And we're just gonna drag it down here. If you drag it down below where it is, you can see it realizes, oh, you want to create a sampler with these. And I want you to select optimized map. The one above it says chromatic. We're going to do optimize map. So blah, blah, blah. This is going to load it into a sampler track, as long as the beach ball of death doesn't kill us. Yeah. It's always stressful. I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can see what's going on. So now we've created, this is our sampler. Woo, and we can see, you can see how everything's mapped. It's mapped all of these samples onto the keyboard, which is pretty cool. There is a thing, I think you might have seen it over here, maybe down here. See this yellow box? This is a looper. And it does that automatically. I don't know why, but this might be good if you were doing certain electronic compositions or something, but I want you to turn that off. So here's the directions to turn off the looper. You go to this button on the upper right that has a Z on it. This is called Zone View. I'm going to click that and we get this table that shows us, actually it's pretty cool. It shows us all the different notes and how they're mapped. It's pretty interesting. The amount of data to do this kind of stuff. But we're going to turn anything that's this looper. I want everything to go off. So I'm just going to click under loop in the table, all these off. So I think I did it. Yeah. Okay, great. Then I can go back to this little keyboard button to see my keyboard again. Okay, so that's our sampler. I want to make sure now that that's muted. I'm going to also mute this. So this was our original samples. We're only going to work now with hearing the sampler. I'm going to make these smaller because we don't actually care about those anymore. We only care about this sampler that we're going to play with. So here's where it gets nice. We're going to work with the mixer. We're going to add reverb and some decay to it so that when we play, it feels more like an instrument on the keyboard. So under the mixer, there's these little buttons here that coordinate to where you can basically do what's called plugins. You can plug in effects and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to click where it says Audio FX and go to reverb. And we're going to just use a simple one, Chroma Verb Stereo. And that opens up, this is basically our plugin for the reverb. What I suggest you do is add a decay up between 5 and 10 seconds. So I feel like my finale bird is still playing. It is. Finale bird, that's really funny because, where are you? Come here. Is it? It totally is, but I don't have that. I don't think I have that file open anymore. Oh, maybe I do. Well,
The finale verb is infinite.
quit. Okay, quit. I just quit finale. All right. And then I'd take the wet up a little bit, the dry, maybe dry down, wet up. There. You can play with the octave keys too. Depending on where you want to play. You can also, that's maybe too long. I'm gonna do 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Okay. Great. So that's our reverb. And then we're gonna go to the this has kind of a funny drop off. So we're gonna work with what's called the amplitude envelopes to change the response of the keys. So in your sampler, we're gonna go to synth, and you see how this ENV1, ENV2, ENV1 means means amplitude, or kind of the volume control. So this has kind of even though we put reverb on it, it kind of dies away. So I'm gonna just slide this out quite a bit. So it doesn't drop off. Likewise, I'm going to pull in. If you move it on the left, this creates kind of like a crescendo in. If I do it a lot, it's kind of funny. So however you want to work with that, but some kind of version of that. All right. X out of that, X out of that. Okay, so you just play around with your sound that you made, these samples. Then we're going to import, and I'm actually going to, is this where I tell you to save it? Yes. I tell you to save. Actually, let's open up this. I'm going to open up the library, and we're going to save this track as harmonic fuzz pad. That way, if you want to use it again or something happens to your file or whatever, you can pull it up as one of the instruments in the library. And it'll be like, here I am, especially if you get like your reverb and everything, how you really like it. So now here's the one I made the other day. Great, there's two. Make sure I get the right one. Harmonic fuzz pads in the library, which is nice. Okay, now we're going to import the MIDI file of our arrangement that we did, Horses 2.0, my masterpiece. Let's do import tempo, since we took the time to set the tempo. Okay, use 24. Okay, and I'm gonna just open this up so we can see. This is too big. I want to be able to see my tracks. Great, so we can hear my it's got a bunch of funny stuff plugged in for my instruments. My soprano sax, I came in and experimented with this already, so these were the ones I liked. I liked Airship Rising for my sax, which is this kind of cool. Okay, so that's my soprano saxophone. That's why it doesn't matter too much about when you go to adapt, right, from your arrangement. Should have your arrangement still be something nice, but it doesn't have to be the most perfect thing because you're going to manipulate it here. My clavinet, what did I use for my clavinet? Plastic key. That's what I liked for that. Plastic keys, which if I solo, this kind of ambient, maybe I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit. Okay. My bass, I worked with ARPy bass. Oh, busy ARPy bass. There it is. So we start putting them all together. Kind of polyrhythmic. My bird, I did air bells. And let's just hear that by itself. That is not air bells. Double click. Oh, whoops.
Type of bird.
And I think I applied them. I did not mean to apply to both. Dang it. All right. And percussion, you can work with like we did before. There's go to all sounds. You can plug in different drum grooves, different kits. Let's see what this synth kit. Crate Digger. Oh, wait, I keep having the wrong one selected. Carmen. Crate Digger. There we go. My bird is air bells. Crate Digger. Oh, for some reason, why are you linked together? So if I have this going and I select this is my synth track, right? This thing that says default harmonic fuzz pad, I can play along with it with my samples. And to record, you push this. So what I want you to do is actually record your improvisation. So you'll select the track and this record enables, and then you'll click record. And stop. So it'll record whatever you play in your sampler. Like this is how people, go listen to, you guys all know WYCE, like the local radio station. Like every other song is going to have this as its base. Some version of this, people working with MIDI controlled stuff, probably with samples that someone did with keyboard, and then a singer, someone singing over the top usually, but not always. Okay, so then that's it. Voila. Then you'll, like you did for the Satie project, you'll go up to File, Bounce, and Project as an MP3 after you record your improv. And there's the assignment checklist. Questions? All right. Great.